What's going on YouTube? This is SG1 Sports and you're watching our college football channel. It's time for my Week 2 New Year's 6 predictions. I gave you my playoff predictions updated yesterday. If you missed that video, you can go back and check it out. I'll tell you what, it's tough to do this. It is tough to narrow these teams down because there are only so many slots, and I think there are a lot of teams that have a chance to make it into the New Year's 6. These are my predictions right now. Again, some changes from the preseason for sure. And if you want more info on the playoffs, I went all the way through to the championship game. You can watch that video. But in the Sugar Bowl, we had Georgia, Michigan, 1 versus 4 in one of the semifinals, and then Florida State number 2, Penn State number 3. That was the other semifinal. They would meet in the Rose Bowl. So again, talked more about those games in that video. Let's get to the other New Year's 6 bowls. And we will start with the Orange Bowl. All right, I know people are probably going to be like, what, Clemson? Clemson just lost to Duke. I tell you what, I still think Clemson gets here. I mean, you got to take an ACC team, and if Florida State makes the playoff, you take the next highest ranked team, and I think that's going to be Clemson, at least right now. I looked at some other projections just to see what other, CBS and these other projections had here, and they all had North Carolina. And I think North Carolina has a chance to be pretty good. But when you look at the schedules, it's a tough schedule for North Carolina. Miami has a tough schedule. The team that has a schedule that could possibly get them here is Louisville. And circle back to Duke. Duke has a really tough schedule. Clemson's schedule is not horrible. And they get North Carolina at home. And I think that's going to be the difference here. I think because of that, they probably beat North Carolina. Death Valley's a really tough place to play, and I still think this team will lose 1 or 2 games, but I think a 9-3 Clemson team possibly still gets here. Maybe you have a 9-3 North Carolina and 9-3 Clemson. Clemson beats them head-to-head. Clemson, I think, would be the highest-ranked ACC team. So, again, I'm not going to give up on Clemson just yet and say that this team's going to be awful. Duke's a good football team, and I've been saying that all offseason long. And they had to go on the road week 1, and they had plenty of opportunities, and they just couldn't capitalize. So I don't think you should just throw in the towel for Clemson having at least a decent season. Now, I don't think they're going to make the college football playoff. I didn't in the preseason. But again, 9-3 Clemson, I think probably gets here to the Orange Bowl, and then on the other side, Alabama. So you can take an SEC team or a Big Ten team or Notre Dame. And I think they would probably take Alabama. A lot of people would love to see this matchup. Dabo versus Saban, Clemson versus Alabama. Of course, we've seen it so many times in the playoff era. So I think it would be fitting for these two teams to match up in the final year of the 4-team playoff. Not a playoff game, but I've got Alabama losing. I still think they probably lose 1 game in the regular season. Maybe to Texas A&M, lose to Georgia in the SEC championship. But they still make it because they're ranked high enough. And so Clemson, Alabama in the Orange Bowl. In the Peach Bowl, so I still got Tulane. It's my group of 5 team. Was considering UTSA here, but I think their schedule is going to catch up to them. They've already lost to Houston. They have to play Tennessee. I think Tulane probably runs the table outside of maybe Ole Miss on Saturday. And then Washington, still I see this being a team that maybe goes 10-2. I look at Washington, Oregon, USC. I still kind of feel like those teams are going to kind of be all right there at 10-2. The Pac-12 is going to be so good, and these teams are going to beat up on each other. But I've got the Huskies here, Peach Bowl. Long ways to travel, but when you've got all these Pac-12 teams in here, some of them are going to have to go to the eastern side of the United States. So Washington, Tulane there in the Peach Bowl. Fiesta Bowl, this is actually what I had in the preseason. I think USC wins the Pac-12, Texas wins the Big 12, and both teams will go to New Year's 6 Bowl because of that. And I really would love to see this matchup. I think it would be a fun matchup. I saw some projections that actually had this matchup in the Cotton Bowl, but USC went to the Cotton Bowl last year, and if I'm not mistaken, they don't send a team to the same New Year's 6 Bowl 2 years in a row. And so if they do, then perhaps this would be in the Cotton Bowl, but I think it probably winds up as the Fiesta Bowl. Texas, USC, 2 really good offenses, and a great matchup. I would love to see it. Of course, we flash back to the Vince Young Texas USC game, national championship in the Rose Bowl, and maybe we get another classic like that. And then finally, I've got Notre Dame and Oregon. Notre Dame at maybe 11-1 or 10-2, And Oregon, again, 10-2. I think these teams are ranked high enough. And you'll notice no Ohio State. I look at the schedule for Ohio State, and now I don't feel so good about them beating Notre Dame. I still don't think they're going to beat Michigan. That's 2 losses right there. They have to play Wisconsin on the road. They have Penn State, who looks a lot better. I could see the Buckeyes going 9-3 with their schedule. I really could. And even at 10-2, there's going to be some 10-2 teams potentially left out. I think Tennessee probably is at 10-2. They would be left out. So I feel more confident about these other teams than I do Ohio State, at least after one game. Now, they may get that offense rolling here over the next few weeks. They may beat Notre Dame, and I will obviously change things back around. But right now, I'm a little hesitant on the Buckeyes, and we'll see how they look in the next few weeks. But those are my New Year's 6 matchups. A lot of great games, and we'll see if any of them turn out to work, if it does work out this way. But we'd love to get your thoughts on my predictions. Give me your New Year's 6 predictions down in the comments below.